Tilden, 1 to 100.
80. Yeah, so y'all listen to that.
I need another beer.
This next question comes from Dr. Norman Geisler's book, Conversational Evangelism. So, Dr. Norman Geisler is going to ask you this question for me. If it takes an intelligent being to produce an encyclopedia, then would it not also take an intelligent being to produce the equivalent of 1,000 encyclopedias full of information in the first one-celled animal? You want me to read that again? Basically, he's saying there's enough information in a single-celled organism to equal 1,000 encyclopedia. Not 1,000 pages, but 1,000 encyclopedias.
Unless you convert it to binary, and then you can fit the entire human genome on a floppy disk.
He's equating to DNA.
So the question is,
Used to denote
if it takes an intelligent being to produce one encyclopedia, then would it not take something way more than an intelligent human being, i.e. a god, to produce a single-celled organism that has 1,000 encyclopedias in it?
Well debunked. This is bad. This is a dumb question.
Yeah, this is ignoring the concept.
It's from a very popular book by Norman Geisler that gets
I know that, but
bestseller list.
Yeah, but
he asked Tilden.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, let Tilden answer, and then everyone else can chime in.
I would debunk the higher being. The one-celled organism came about by a chemical process more than anything, so has nothing to do with another being. Why does it have to be another being that brings it into the?
It wasn't.
He's putting two different things into the
It's
same.
a false equivalency.
Right.
So, yeah,
Well, it's worse than that. It's one of the biggest problems with religious arguments is that they don't understand that where they see certain things as being administered from the top down, they do not understand that properties of emergent complexity are from the bottom up.
This is his thing right here.
When they talk about how things are so complex, right? Well, they have to require a design. No, infinite complexity proves that there isn't a designer. When we're talking about anything on the cellular, molecular, or atomic level, then we're talking about vast numbers. How many atoms are in your body, right? If that's the kind of numbers that they're going to be talking about, just the number of atoms that make you up at this size, this scale, the numbers are going to be off the charts. That doesn't mean that there's an intelligent designer. As a matter of fact, vast complexity is an argument against an intelligent designer, because an intelligent designer would design something that wouldn't be so Rube Goldberg situated. It would be much more efficient,
like mousetrap.
One of the things I was in a biology class in college when we were teaching about how plants process sunlight. Right? I'm like, this is the most convoluted Rube Goldberg process I've ever seen in my life. What intelligent being would design anything that works like this?
And it's basically the opposite of what we do. First.
It is such a complicated process that no intelligent designer would set things up like this. An intelligent designer would set it up where it would work
that goes along
in much
with,
fewer steps.
Gangliotic nerve and all that kind of stuff.
Someone said that the Earth was such a perfect place for humans to be in, and it's like,
so perfect that we can't live on 80% of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's the only rock we can live on.
Right.
Because 99.999% of the rest of the universe is inhospitable for humans.
The weekend
go outside the
Yeah.
atmosphere. And
will kill us instantly anywhere else in the cosmos.
Anyone want to chime in on that one?
The thing I
think Chris has something.
Well, before that, hold on just 1 second, because the thing that I agree with Aron's assessment too, but the thing I always use, it's much simpler for people to understand when they're trying to understand what ideas are arguing for, which is the look at the trees argument.
Look at the trees.
How beautiful everything is, and it must have been designed, because if you can't throw a bunch of parts up into the air and have them land and make a Corvette out of it or whatever.
The 747
argument.
Junkyard.
The thing that I use is the way that we tell if something is designed is by comparing it to something natural that is not designed. So so you're telling me that every rock,
a snowflake.
Well, no, the
Like-
watchmaker.
The watchmaker. That's
Yes.
against
The blind watchmaker.
It's addressing the
When you find a
watchmaker
watch-
argument.
When you find a watch, you know that it's designed because it shows that all of the things around it, like the rocks
not.
around it, are not designed.
Yes. So how can you look at a rock and compare it to anything else and say it's designed because you have no frame of reference?
I've heard a counter to that when you go on a beach and you see a pocket watch on the beach, but it's surrounded by an entire beach full of pocket watches.
Okay, so then the other thing is that we know that we've seen people build watches.
And we've never seen a watch give birth to another watch.
Right, and we've never seen
Anyone?
a god come down with his hand and sculpt a rock.
Well, I mean, all others is they're saying that because these two things share one property, they must necessarily share this other property.
Yeah.
So that because they share this property of containing information, even though people would quibble with that. Even if you grant them that, it doesn't necessarily mean they share the property. It is designed by somebody.
I got in an argument with this one Christian who said, I didn't come from a glob of goo. And I went, really? You weren't created by an insemination? Because the rest of us were.
Ah,
How were
good.
you created?
A sperm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Courtney, 1 to 100.
Gooey.
25.
Shit. I have to do this one-handed. 25. Ooh. It's a two-part question. Yeah, you stepped in a good, boy. These are hot button. Some of these are hot button, and this definitely is. I'm going to give you both questions at the same time, because if I only gave you one, you wouldn't really get the context.
You get on the phone and it says you're free to dial this number one digit at a time. How could I dial them all at once?
Ah. Should females be allowed in the NFL? Second question, what about male waiters at Hooters?
What?
Everyone take a second to digest what I just asked.
Yes and yes. It's called Chippendales. It's fine.
No, Hooters, not Chippendales.
I said it's
Should a
it's
male?
fine.
Do you think male waiters right now, TJ?
Why not?
This
Why
might
not?
be you. What, TJ?
What?
A male waiter? Did,
No, I'm going to hear
no, a
Courtney's
male
response.
waiter did apply to Hooters, and he
Okay.
didn't get the job,
Based on his gender.
and he sued.
He was
and
discriminated
he won.
against. Yeah,
He won that
he
lawsuit.
sued them and he won.
And there's a deck of cards. It's the Hooters playing deck.
Mhm.
He's actually on it as their Joker.
Oh, wow.
So
funny.
he actually never was a Hooters waiter. Are we reviewing? Are we understanding this?
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I always thought it was a little bit sexist to do Twin Peaks or Hooters based on the attractiveness of the waitress.
Yeah.
I was surprised that you had two national chains get away with that. I remember driving down the freeway looking at a Twin Peaks billboard, right? It's got the buxom girl on the billboard. I'm like, gee, I wonder what they serve there. And my then 8-year-old son said, looks like milk.
Oh, nice. Courtney, I want to hear
That's all Dome Daddy now,
Well,
too.
I mean,
if an NFL candidate wanted to come to training camp, and this candidate was a biological female, should she have an opportunity to go
what
up?
do you mean? What do you mean by biological female? Do you mean
Oh,
that's like a
let's say anybody.
transgender male?
Let's just say anybody. Trans, biological,
You
doesn't matter.
sensed the trap he was stepping into?
I sensed it. No, I didn't even try to set that
No, I'm
trap.
just trying to
That was an inadvertent trap. No, let's say any person, should any person have a chance to go to an NFL training camp and try out?
Okay, I think the main issue is we've lived historically in a world where gender is binary, and we no longer live in that world. So we have to adjust things.
Sorry, Aron,
accordingly.
we're on the rationality rules thing.
Jim.
It looks like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So we have to adjust accordingly. So if now, again, with science is self-correcting, and as we learn more about the diversity of human experience, we have to adjust the way that we run our society. And so, yeah, I think we need to re-examine the strict, roles that men and women are in, which is something that is definitely a historical precedent that has to be broken.
So is that a yes or a no?
I said yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I remember being a little kid and hearing all the bullshit excuses about why women couldn't fly fighter jets. Right. It had to do with their depth perception or your center
Yeah.
of gravity.
There's
or whatever.
always something.
Yeah, it was always it's complete bullshit,
Always
right?
something fallacy.
So it's and like they had, I knew that they had like the women in they were called the wax, right? Women in whatever the
Yes.
fuck it was that was called wax. And I didn't understand why would you have a female specific group? Why do we have to have the male and female specific thing? And I remember Aliens, the first sequel, it was better than the original, and they didn't make another movie after that one. They just didn't. Those were rumors that were beat debunked.
Yeah,
There was only
We'll just
Alien.
pretend that
It was
didn't
good.
happen.
It was not as good as the original.
There was the one
Aliens.
sequel, and then they didn't
Aliens.
make any more after that. But in that sequel, they had male and female Marines all together.
Hell yeah.
And I wish that we could have shown that movie when I was a little kid to these people. What the hell is the problem about how having women in the military? Well, now we have helicopter pilots and we have infantry that are women. Yeah, I was 8 years old arguing why can't we have, if they can meet the criteria, let them go.
Yes,
On the NFL, can you get a woman in there who
Will
is
she be
big enough
safe
and bad
in that
enough that
environment?
she can do that?
or
Can
fast
she?
enough.
Can
Sometimes
she
you don't
meet
have
the
to be
grade?
big.
Right? And is it because it's not fair to say no? You are this gender, therefore you can't compete, even if you can whoop ass on everybody we've got.
Right.
No, I realize that on the averages, there's not going to be many women that can compete against, the massive
freaks of
athletes
nature
in
that
the-
we have in
the
our
NFL,
National
right?
Football
That's-
League. Yeah.
Okay, but if you have one that can,
Yes.
why the fuck?
Are we
would you
all in
arbitrarily
agreement?
Wow, I think I actually agree with
Do you
Courtney on
think,
this
are we all in
because-
agreement with this?
Yeah, because
I think we all agree on this
because
one.
the quality of opportunity is something that's very important.
Fuck yes.
And you should have everyone
Can't
should have
believe
equal
we all agree on
opportunities if they can pass the discrimination of being qualified, right? Like if you're qualified,
If the bar
that's the only discrimination that should exist.
Well,
It's,
if there's a
I will
requirement-
discriminate between who is qualified and who is not qualified. That's the only type of
I knew this
discrimination
girl
I think that is
that wrote
warranted.
in an EMT. She was an EMT, right? And the job description was you had to be able to lift this amount of weight because you have to pick up a gurney
Yes.
with a person on it,
For sure.
right? So there's a
180 pounds.
requirement. EMTs have to be strong.
Yes.
Now I knew this woman who was an EMT, and she could probably the only woman I've ever met that could kick my ass, and she was badass. But she could meet the criteria, so she got the job, and that's the way it
Fuck
should be.
yes.
Right.
Think about how asinine this is. When female reporters wanted to go into a NFL locker room, and people were like, "Oh no, we can't have that happen. No, because they're going to see naked men all over the damn place." Well, they're a reporter. They're reporting
Okay.
news.
Flip. Okay,
and
Tilden.
they actually
flip-
know.
Tilden, flip the script.
Flip it.
A male in a female locker room.
Won't happen. Never happens.
Well,
and
it should not. It should
Okay,
not make
why
it
is-
better
should it be
because
any
it's
different,
a
though?
reporter doing her job.
Why should it be
It's her
any
job.
different? It's still
Okay, everybody's
journalism.
talking right now. Hold on, one at a time.
So when I went to the Rijksmuseum,
It's still journalism, right?
they had
Exactly.
staff at the
What
Rijksmuseum.
is there something wrong about that?
No, I think not.
I don't think not either.
It's either all or none.
Again, there's a differential. All right, so men being visually stimulated, men want to see naked women. Women don't.
Women
care
want
so
to see
much.
naked men.
Not to the same
Courtney?
degree. It's not-
Courtney,
Wait a minute here.
I'm telling you,
Are
not
you-
to the same degree at all.
do you want to see the naked man right now?
Not to the same degree.
Personally,
Not to the same degree?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's about
all right.
the observer.
I mean,
it's
you're
about the
talking
person
about-
being
for
observed.
all women.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to be observed.
Right, that's true.
So
Okay. This is a good chance for Chris to give us 1 to 100.
I'm gonna go 24.
one less.
This gets really deep, but we have 14 minutes to do it.
I can be deep in 14 minutes.
Okay. Imagine you have worldwide, global, autonomous reach and authority. You're basically, anything you say goes, right? What immediate changes would you make in terms of social policies and laws?
Get rid of those borders.
I'd probably, realistically, I'd probably do some really frivolous stuff first. Like, I would make it illegal to hunt small yappy dogs for sport.
He's joking. I hope
Am
you're
I?
I
joking.
hope he's joking.
Am I?
It's the internet. We're all serious here. No,
Oh, by the way, there's green in your shirt, and it's going to really fuck up my green screen later on when I edit these.
Terrible.
no, we've dealt it.
Yeah, but
before.
it's outlined
It's outlined.
with a non-green
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I told you.
I always bring that problematic shit.
So again, reiterate what you just said.
It's like if I have free reign to make any laws or
Get rid of yapping dogs. What else?
Probably end corn subsidies and stuff. To make it easier to have more diverse foods and probably deal with some farming issues we were talking about earlier.
Corn is it's almost the same as celery. Celery is a negative caloric. Yeah. Corn is close to it. There's almost no nutritional properties in corn.
It's one of those things that only exist in quantities because we subsidize it, and we subsidize it because it's
That's
politically...
unfortunate because it's the only vegetable I like.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it wouldn't go away, but it's like we wouldn't need to make corn into sugar. We could just grow sugar.
Why would you grow sugar? We have to do that.
Well, the best way to grow sugar is sugar cane.
Well, refined sugar is the problem, not sugar. Your body turns everything you eat into sugar.
Yeah, which was why you don't need to actually pump sugar into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Why would we need ethanol? We can go electric now.